Pleasure to be joined on stage by the head coach of the HBU Huskies, Vic Shealy. Good to see you.
Great to see you.
The road from the very beginning, still a very young program when you arrived in 2012 to now. Talk about the steps you guys have made as a program, and again, expectations going into a brand new season here in several weeks.
It's amazing as you start your fifth year, you kind of feel like you're old now, and but it's exciting. I think we have had an exceptional recruiting year. Our players have worked extremely hard in the offseason, had a great spring ball, a lot of staff changes that you mentioned. You know, there's a lot of things that kind of make this year really the feel of maybe the most exciting one that we've started, as coaches to anticipate, and we're excited and ready.
Talk about the spring, coming off the spring, and the development of your kids, and what areas are you happy with? What areas do you think need attention? I guess a coach always has areas they need to address going into new season, but what progress do you think you made coming out of spring?
Well, I think really when you kind of back up even a little bit more coming out of the 2017 season, which was not successful, on the scoreboard, but I really believe you saw a football program that saw its defense become highly competitive in our league. And our league is a tough league to be good on defense because of the offensive abilities. But we were able to stay in the ball game. 8 of our 11 games last year, the fourth quarter was a very contested quarter. And so, our goal is not to make games close. Our goal is to win ball games. But you got to get there somewhere. I think good defense helps you. Our kicking game stabilized in 2017. Obviously, we really struggled. The takeaway probably was a little bit, maybe some big plays on defense, but the need to score when we were, score points. Mm-hmm. And we've made some adjustments scheme-wise, offensive staff in some areas where we feel like we've done the necessary things to give us a chance.
If you have any questions for Coach Shealy, just raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone to you as well. We got one in the corner. If we get the microphone over there. Oh, we got one right here, as a matter of fact. Go ahead. Start with you.
Coach Robert Kelly, Texport Publications. Sixth season. How do you compare this year's team's potential to previous seasons?
Well, I think we're the most athletic. I think our skill kids now, I'm really confident that I can look at any coach, any program in this league, and that our skill kids are some of the top half in our league now, in a very athletic league. I believe with Rafael and Derrek Bouchard, Rafael being a first-team all-conference corner last year, and Derrek Bouchard in 2016 being a second-team all-conference corner, we have the best tandem of corners in our league. And I think when you kind of look at some of the success of some of our young defensive linemen in our program playing early, I think those are some things that really are showing the dividends of the weight room, of good recruiting. We've had 13 players the last 2 years be all conference, and that's not bad for a program that just finished its fourth year in our league. And so I think there are some markers that, when you start looking at players being developed, and then also the effort that, as coaches we go to try to out-recruit what's on our campus. I feel like we're on progress. The number of wins have not been where we want them. We have to get better. I mean, there's no excuse. We've got to get better on the scoreboard. But there's a process by which you build athletes up in confidence, and this is the most confident and the most athletic squad that in my time at HBU, and I'm excited to see them play.
You talked about the position players. You lost a lot of starters from last year. Where do you see your strengths in your position players? Well,
ironically not, it's still going to be on defense, because I think here again, when we talk about some of the defensive progress that was made in our program, we had so many injuries on defense, and frankly, it was a real credit to our players and our coaches last year on defense that the number of season-ending injuries that we had, and up until about the last couple of ball games of the season, we are still playing at a very good level. With those injuries, we've got about 8 starters coming back on defense. I mean, I think we published 5, but when you look at significant starters in our program, we have about 8 come back on defense. We also brought in 6 transfers on defense, and we've been a high school recruiting program, and that's been our model. And it causes you, particularly in 2014 and 15, to not be very good, because it's not apples to oranges. But we're at that point now. We thought the junior college infusion needed to occur in order to kind of get us a little bit older in some areas with a little larger graduating class. We did bring in 4 transfers on offense and then an Australian punter. So I think a little bit of the transfer is coming in our program, and it may be just a one-year deal, but we feel like we're beginning to understand what our niche in recruiting is and what our needs, and excited about the way that they've come together in the summer.
Back of the corner, Richard.
Richard Dean, Houston Chronicle. Coach, you're making the move to the spread offense. What's the main reason why you decided to do that, and who's going to be the trigger man of the offense?
I'll answer the first part of that question. It's the easier part. I think after Thanksgiving, you begin as whether you're undefeated or struggling, you evaluate your program, and because with recruiting, that's going to dominate the next 2 months. I really felt like that we needed to do some things where we weren't trying to do everything that was ever invented on offense, and run a system that had proven itself to be one of the very best. And I think, Mike Leach's system is obviously right now one of the very top. You look at what Seth Luttrell's done at North Texas, and what Lincoln Riley's done, what Cliff Kingsbury's done, what Dana Holgerson's doing, and of course Mike Leach himself. Those are the very best offenses in our country. And so we went out and hired the quarterback coach at Texas Tech, Zach Kitley, and his confidence, his intelligence, his leadership's been infectious. Our spring energy on offense was unparalleled at any time. Our recruiting effort, the 6 receivers we have coming in are extremely athletic, and it's the byproduct of that offense. And so I think those things, we also have changed offensive line coaches, and I think those two have worked together at Tech, and that'll really help us. The second part of your question, we really feel like we're in a position now, really probably for the first time in our program, where we can say that we got 2 Southland Conference potential all-conference quarterbacks in our program. I think a lot of people would say that Bailey Zappi did a lot as a true freshman last year to look impressive. But in the one game that Andrew Hayden started against SFA in the first drive, went down and scored a touchdown, and before he separated his shoulder the third series, we're very excited about Andrew's progress in our program. So we have 2 sophomore quarterbacks, and this is not one of those situations where you have 2 quarterbacks, and you can't find one. We feel like right now we got 2 quarterbacks, and both of them are ones. And a starter probably won't be named until about 10 days out, just to give both of them a chance to compete. And I think at the end of the day, that position has to win in your football team. Before you win a football game, you got to win your football team. And that position, we'll know who that guy is here in a few weeks.
Okay, Coach, I got another one for
Question
you.
here.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. August 6th, first practice. What are your goals for that first outing?
Well, I think that one of the greatest challenges that you have that day one is that you want to sit there and be able to start day one where you left off spring in terms of just the recall of the scheme, the technical side. With the new offensive line coach, there's going to be some growth there. We've got several really talented junior college offensive linemen that are coming in, so that infusion with a couple other, highly talented freshmen. So I think getting that offensive line really early on gelled, that's critical. And I really feel like the development of our offensive line this year is really kind of where the future of this year's football team will be ultimately decided and defined. And so I think that group is really paramount for us to get an early handle on the improvement that we need to see. I think, we also changed defensive coordinators. Charlie Kemp on our staff went over to UTSA. His replacement, Jeff Mills, is a guy who I've known. He's been the defensive coordinator in New Mexico, Nevada, Youngstown State. Was a secondary coach at University of Washington when I was in the Big 12, and just know the high regard that they have. So I think getting a new system defensively put into place from spring carry through. Those are some of the main early goals.
Up front.
Vic, with graduating so many players from last year, roughly about 30, and you've already touched on it a little bit with the junior college guys you've brought in, who are the first-year guys? Because you're going to have a contribution from some first-year players. Who are some guys that you point to that you expect a lot out of this year?
Well, I think, I spoke about the offensive line. Hikoti Chapman and Tuita Chapman, 2 beautiful little big old Tongan Polynesian offensive linemen. I think immediately that's going to really shore up just maybe setting that pocket and just the toughness that they bring in, and it will really help us. I think 2 junior college defensive linemen really help us. Mayo Man, a nose guard, and Carter Couch. And then we have a new one they'll be signing tomorrow, actually out of California, JC. I think a little bit of some of the infusion of our linemen are really pretty significant. At the wide receiver position, though, Trey Tillman, who was a fantastic athlete at Oklahoma State as a wide receiver, had a little great issue there. Went to a Kansas JC, and we get him back. He'll be one of the most athletic kids in our league in terms of just vertical push. And then we have another Pac-12 transfer receiver that will be in here in a couple of days too. So I think some of those areas, I wish I could say their name, but they just hadn't signed the paperwork yet, but there's a little bit of process there. But I think we've made some real progress there. Then I think really on the back end defensively, we got a couple more JC corners, and I know one can say, well, with 2 corners like Rafael and Derrek, why would you need 2 more corners? But some of our scheme, as we're beginning to kind of evolve defensively, we need a few more corner-type athletes in more of a sub-package. And so I think those are the things that we really see early on.
Chris Mikowski in the back.
Coach, signing a 3-year extension in the offseason, and obviously the win total hasn't been where you want it in the past couple of years. So what does that mean to you personally that HBU would extend your contract? And now I imagine that re-energizes you quite a bit going forward and allows you to do some different things with this program.
Well, you know, since the day I walked on campus, and there's no textbook for how you start a football program. I think probably most people that would tell you that start it, they may not want to start a second one because it's a pretty tiresome job. But it's a great opportunity, and I don't know that I was really all that worried. Maybe I should have been. I don't know about an extension, but you know, really the pressure you put on yourself as a coach is much greater than any other part of a campus or that can even come close to putting on. So my hope and goal was to be great that day as a head football coach as a program, and when I woke up, and so. It does validate that the system we have in place, the philosophy. That Dr. Sloan and Steve Maniaci, 2 really talented and bright, and because they give me an extension, they are really bright, correct? But 2 very, very accomplished administrators that they have in our program. I think if you look at last year, we had 1,000 APR in football. Our historical APR is a 989. I think so. We're doing the things academically that area. I think that we see our program in areas growing. I think here again, the development of the number of all-conference players. You know, maybe the all-conference players are not in ratio to the wins on the scoreboard, but we're working on that. And so it's just a great vote of confidence, but it helps in recruiting to be able to sit there and go into a home and sit there and say that I'm going to be your football coach.
All right, I'll chat with Coach Shealy a few more minutes here momentarily, but right now we're going to toss it to his left, standing by with Lincoln Rose. He's Lincoln.
Yeah, and Randy, a couple of guys who both play on the same side of the football. Andre Walker, the junior defensive end, Rafael Lewis, the senior cornerback last year. First team all-conference, one of those guys that Coach Shealy was talking about, all-conference players who are really shining for HBU. But a new defensive coordinator this year to lead the way for you guys. In the secondary, what's the biggest change?
I think it's just the coverages we're running at the moment, and really we're just excited Coach Mills is on board, and he can really teach us something new about playing DB. We can be able to pick his brain. Like Coach said, he was a DB coach at Washington, so he's worked with the best, and we appreciate him being on board, and we just want to learn from him.
Andre, last year, lead all defensive linemen in the Southland Conference and getting in the backfield with tackles for loss. What is different in this system for you up front?
Definitely the 3-4 defensive system, which puts the defensive ends more, in a tight bunch formation, closer to the, the nose guard. And the biggest change is really just becoming more aggressive at the point of attack. Last year was more like re-steps, keying a tackle. Now it's just attacking and freeing up those lanes for the linebackers to come through and make the tackles.
Coach was talking about some of the guys to look out for, including Trey Tillman. You started nodding your head. What is it about Trey that has caught your attention as a D lineman? He's
probably one of the most just athletic guys I've ever seen. He's real fast, quick in his cuts. He reminds of Antonio Brown a little bit, the way he cuts in and out. And I'm really excited to see him play, and especially in this new spread offensive scheme we have, and seeing those 2 quarterbacks fight for that position. I think it'll just be, a good thing.
Last year, HBU graduated kind of its first wave of signees. 5 years ago, they were able to get in that half season, and ultimately they all redshirted, got to stick around for a full 5 seasons. You come in right behind them, still a chance to be really part of something special, somebody to lay the foundation for this program. What are the remaining goals for you? Where do you want to be able to leave this program when you look back?
Sir, my goal is right now is just continuing to influence a lot of the freshmen and the newcomers coming in to buy into the program, because I feel like if you have everybody bought into the program, it really elevates the team as a whole and makes everything that we're trying to accomplish, that much easier.
Rafael, when it's a young program, it's easy to set some new records. You have the record for longest play in the history of HBU, regardless of whether it's a 5-year-old program, a 50-year-old program. A 96-yard interception return last year against those Cardinals of Lamar, a couple of touchdowns total last year on your interceptions. How have you on defense tried to create some explosive plays to keep the excitement going and get that ball back over to the offense?
Well, last year our offense had a couple struggles, and we knew that, so we knew coming into the game that if we were able to create turnovers, wherever we were able to give them plus position in yards and field position, or if we were able to score, that we would have a better shot at maintaining the game and winning the game. So I just try to help my team be in the best position to win.
I assume the better the quarterback is you're lining up against in practice, the better results you're seeing lining up against other Southland quarterbacks once conference play is underway. Are you seeing the same thing Coach is saying with the options under center?
Yeah, we got 2 very good options at the moment. Andrew Hayden and Bailey Zappi, they're battling really hard right now. They both have the respect of the players on their team, so it's really just who makes the most plays at this point.
Andre, I feel like if Coach could draw up a student athlete, you would pretty much fit the mold that he would love to have. A 4.0 in the spring. Academics is always something when we're on the phone with Coach, getting ready for a game, just talking about the priorities and how important everything is surrounding football. And if you have a smart individual such as yourself, you have a smart football player as well. But again, congratulations, COSIDA Academic All-District, First Team Academic All-Conference. You want to be a neurosurgeon eventually. Where does that come from?
Really, it just comes from, just my love of science and my love of, finding new ways to do things. And I feel like medicine really provides me that, that outlet to really just let my creative juices flow and find new ways to help advance society in a new direction.
Can all of your teammates keep up with some of the things you say when you start talking about some of your coursework?
Absolutely. We have a lot of smart guys on the football team.
Not just your teammates, can all your coaches keep up with what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah.
Meanwhile, you talk about some interests. Big anime guy right here, the Ninja Naruto. I was asking you, as a defensive back, do you try to be inspired by Ninja? But you mentioned just as a human being, every day applicable to your life.
Yes, sir. It's really just because, when he was younger, it's a redemption story, kind of. It's a feel-good story. It was everyone looked at him as an outcast when he was younger, you know what I'm saying? And when he got younger, he became what's basically known as the president of his village. And it's just nice to know that you can come from nothing and you can turn yourself into somebody people look up to.
How do you go from Elk Grove, California, to playing Division I football in Houston, Texas?
Oh, goodness. So coming out of high school, I wasn't offered any scholarships, so I decided to go to a JUCO, Sacramento City College, and they really redefined my skills. Coach Danny Walker, I had a lot of faith in him, and he helped my brother get to a NAIA school out in Nebraska, but I knew I was able to go D1, and I knew I wasn't going to settle for anything less than that. So my first year was kind of injury-ridden there, and in my second year, I got to play a full season. I showed what I can do, and I got a couple scholarship offers, but Houston Baptist really showed me the loyalty, and I respected that a lot. So they got me out on the visit, and I loved it out here, so I decided to commit.
Andre, when the Southland Conference expanded the last time, they added big markets like San Antonio, Houston, obviously You guys getting your college education in Houston, I have to imagine it's going to create opportunities for you after football, especially if you want to pursue neuroscience. What's it like being a college student in one of the biggest cities in the world?
It's very, very exciting. Actually, my internship that I'm doing this summer was because I was in Houston. So that just goes to show you how many opportunities you have around in such a, wide city. And Houston is known for its medical field. So that's, it really just, from coming here and signing my scholarship and majoring in pre-medical studies, everything just like bonded together. It was a perfect match, coaching staff, the school itself, the pre-medical program at Houston Baptist, and just having the city of Houston around you to expand your, field.
In a moment, Randy and Coach are going to look at the schedule coming up for you guys, but again, it's just around the corner. It is amazing that we're getting this close to football season. What is left for you to check off your list to be ready to go for the 2018 campaign?
We just got to redefine a lot of stuff, get in the playbook. Obviously we have a new D coordinator, so we got a lot of freshmen coming in. We got to make sure they know the playbook. We got to make sure everybody's on cue with what they're supposed to do, and we can't have any slip-ups. Last year we let up a couple big plays on defense that led to games getting out of hand, and this year we have to have a mindset that we're not going to let anyone score. Me and my partner Derrek, Bouchard, we believe we're the best two corners in the league, period. So if we believe we can shut down opposing wide receivers, I think we'll be good.
What's left to do for you?
Yes, sir. Just to build off what he said, I feel like as a team we have all the pieces to be successful. The only thing we have to do is just to learn how to work together, get inside the playbook, and execute what's written on the game plan. We have the receivers to go with the spread offense. We brought in a lot of big time defensive linemen. We have two of the best corners in the league. We're just surrounded by talented players. We just need to learn how to play and work together.
Guys, looking forward to it. Thanks for hosting us here in your backyard.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
Randy, no pressure on you, but a reminder, you are standing next to the greatest head coach in HBU football history.
There you go. Vic Shealy here, done a great job, and big expectations in 2018 as they look to build with some experience on the football field on both sides. Vic, I want to ask you about a couple of guys specifically on the offensive side. Talk a little bit about, you mentioned the quarterbacks, your tight end, Tyler Kelly. Talk about what he was able to do for you next year and what you're expecting and needing out of him.
Well, Tyler's a really athletic kid. He's a kid of great size and frame. He's got good ball skills, and so Tyler's struggled through the spring with some injuries, and so right now he's kind of coming back from a really tough high ankle sprain. So it's been a little bit slow, but we expect him. And then we have another sophomore tight end, Coleman Robinson, that has had exceptional spring. So we really kind of feel good about the big athlete there, as a part of our receiving corps.
One thing I want to ask you, and it's been in the off season, you guys suffered a loss within your football program, the passing of Garrett Dolan, outstanding linebacker, one of the original 13 guys that you brought in. Talk about that if you don't mind. I know that was a very tough time for your program and for the university.
It was tough. Garrett was every coach's dream as a player, and I love Garrett as if I would adopt him if he needed a dad. He's was a great student. Was an over 3.0 business finance major. Obviously, was a tremendous football player and was a great leader in our program. But, there's a lot of stories that have come out since his passing there in terms of him affecting the lives of others on campus that were non-athletes. And I think for us, a young program, it's important to have men that, whether they're still alive or whether they're not, that leave a legacy and inspire others to be better. And there's no doubt that Garrett will do that. And I tell you, as coaches and his administration there at HBU, we will do a good job in Garrett's legacy and in his memory being kept alive.
What was your message with the team, again, during a very, very tough circumstance?
Well, I think the big thing there is just to let them know that when you lose someone like Garrett and the pain and the hurt that comes with that, none of us would want to see Garrett leave, but would you much rather have a teammate that you have that regard for, as opposed to never knowing him at all, and a kid like that having never had an influence in your life? And so look at the difficult time and be thankful that you've got that kind of a guy in your life that you can remember.
All right, before we wrap it up, let's talk about your schedule. You guys will get on the practice field soon, and you open with 3 straight at home. Talk about what that means, hopefully, to get some momentum rolling. You've got Southwest Baptist opening up, and then you're immediately into conference play with McNeese and ACU, I believe.
You know, I'm excited. I think, you know, with facing Division II school there early on in Southwest Baptist is an improving Division II program, but it's a good game for us there. And then I love playing conference games early. And so, you know, I'll ask our commissioner to line us up early in the league every year. I just think that it adds some real purpose to what you do in fall camp. And having Abilene Christian and McNeese at home is really good. I like our home conference schedule. I think here again, having Abilene and McNeese, and then later Sam and SFA and Nichols, this is these even number of years in our league in this rotation. This is my favorite part of our rotation, and so I think that group's really fun to look at. I think that middle part where we're on the road to SMU, Central Arkansas, and Southeastern Louisiana, that 3-game away stretch will be probably really critical for us. We need to come out of that thing, and I know because we're young and we haven't won a lot of games, you know, sometimes people think it's just coaching speak that you talk about, but we're going to find a way to win some games in that middle stretch. And then what that does to set the pace for the last half of the season, I believe in this team. I think we're going to shock some folks.
Very good. Best of luck to you. Vic Shealy and the Huskies will begin practice shortly, and then the season will begin. All right, when we come back, Lincoln Rose and I will wrap up what's been a fantastic day talking football for the Southland Conference. We get you ready for the new season. We'll do that when we come back in 3 minutes.